Welcome to Acorn to Oak with Pennie Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donnachie. Within each acorn, there is the DNA that strives to be a mighty oak tree. All it needs to reach its potential for greatness is to be activated. You are the acorn. On this show, we will share with you the tools and guidance you need to grow into the person you are meant to be. And now your host, Pennie Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donnachie.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Matthew Donnachie, and tonight I'm joined again by Adam Weller. So good evening, Adam.
Yeah, good evening, Matthew, and good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's sort of staying safe and well.
Yeah, it's interesting times, as we've said before. And very much that's what the show tonight, we wanted to, Adam and I's experience since last week, especially the first few days after the show, was very much realising where people are at globally, and we were noticing that there's a lot of fear and conspiracy being thrown around, and there seems to be a lot more of the negative up than there is the joy. And we thought, actually, it's in times like these that we really need to be focusing on the joy and feeling the joy and staying connected with the joy that really helps us thrive in times like this, rather than just survive. So Adam and I have obviously got a lot of experience within emotional intelligence, and so we wanted to share some of the experiences that we're going through and some of the tools we're using to help us always see the good and the positive. But before we go into that, I really wanted to put a shout out to. We did a section on the last show about inspiring people, and we mentioned a few celebrities that had raised certain amounts of money or given certain amounts of money, and people that were really influencing people at the moment, whether it be online, doing talks or whatever, or just inspiring people. And we've had a guy this week step up in England unknowingly, who's become a true hero of the country, and his name is Captain Tom. And Captain Tom, I salute you, sir, because this guy is 99 years old and decided that he was going to try and raise £1,000 for the NHS, because they'd helped him in the past get through cancer and a broken hip. So at the age of 99 years old, he decided he was going to attempt to do 99 laps of his garden, or 100 laps of his garden, to try and raise £1,000 for the NHS. And so far he's raised £15 million, and he completed the task today. He said he wanted to complete it by his birthday, which is the end of the month. And he's also said he's not going to stop. And I've literally blown away by this guy, and how what he says is a small action has turned into something so far beyond what I think anybody could have imagined.
Yeah,
And
it sort of really did snowball, hasn't it? You know, for what was a real simple, easy task to begin with. It's just amazing the weight that it's gained. But I'm sure, you know, if you talk to the guy, I'm sure he's enjoyed while he's doing it. I'm sure he's enjoying doing it, you know.
yeah, I mean, for all of those out there that don't know, if you just tune into the guy, it's like electric. He's ecstatic. It's like tuning into a child that's tasting ice cream for the first time. Honestly, it was just amazing. And I just thought, that's the type of people that we really should be looking up to right here, right now. And it really, the difference he's going to make, not only in raising that money for the NHS, but showing people, it's like, if you don't think you can do anything in this time, he's just proven to everybody else, if he can do that at 99 years old, well, all of us can do something. And it doesn't necessarily mean you base it on, well, if I make more than 15 million, I'm a success, and if I don't, I'm not. It's about doing whatever we can to help or make things easier for somebody, or just trying to do something for other people. And it just goes to show when somebody does something out of just the goodness of their heart, just how much it ignites that in other people, and makes them give money, or makes them sort of give what they can. One of the interesting statistics I found around this, that from that 15 million, there were only 700,000 people that donated. So some of those amounts that people have donated are huge amounts of money. And I think it's brilliant that you hear of these things, because it goes to show that some people can give money, and that's great, and other people can't give money, and they give time and they put in effort, and that's just as good a currency. It doesn't matter whether we're talking pounds or dollars or energy and effort and time and love, because it's all the same. It's all one currency, really. And actually the most powerful currency is where it comes from, love, because the results show that people engage with it, and people, when they find something that's genuine and ignites their heart, they can't help but give what they can. So I just really wanted to put that out there, and just sort of thank him, and make a point of it, because I was so inspired by it this week. It was just incredible. I've been following it on the radio. It's brilliant. It's probably been the only bit of news I've given more than 5 minutes this week, because the rest has been absolute doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's it's one of the things sort of I found. Obviously since we had the discussion about what we was going to talk about, it was, well, I've actually been actively seeking good news, and the good stories rather than the bad. And the media are the media, and I think at times they do a good job, and at times they don't. But they, it is very much all based on sort of all the sort of negatives as such, and the death figures, and this crisis and that, and we haven't got enough of this, and very much like you were saying, it's the fear and the scarcity and that side of things. But it was actually really nice to get onto Google and get onto Google and search for good stories within the coronavirus, and you really haven't got to look far or hard at all to start finding them. And I know we mentioned last week about like the rainbow flags and the clapping at 8 o'clock and things like that, and it's it's just real easy to find those good things, whether it be an old guy doing something that he enjoys that happens to be quite inspirational and doing a hell of a load of good, or just finding some of the nice stories in it. I mean, even down to one of the ones that really sort of stuck out for me, and it was just that it was almost one of those signs from the universe that, like, we're going to be all right. I saw a picture that someone took in I think it was in New York, and it's basically a picture of a perfectly formed rainbow, and it's like, the universe is just going, okay, I see the response. I see, very much like you were saying, the love and the community, and using that as currency, because it really does show. Okay, especially with Captain, like, okay, he's raised a lot of money, but it wasn't done out of raising money, and actually that's
No,
just
not
a
at all.
byproduct. It's
Absolutely.
it does it. It makes such a big difference when you choose to find the good and choose to seek it. I mean, I know it's a real silly one, but I had the choice today to get annoyed or just look at the sky and go, yeah, okay, Divine Mother's having a laugh again. But it's a case of, I put some washing out. I've gone out for the first time in a few days to get some supplies, and it starts raining, and it's like, I'm in the car driving back. It's like, really? First time I put my washing outside to dry, and it starts raining. And I had the choices, like I could get annoyed because my washing was getting wet and I could rush back, or I could just look and smile and go, is what it is. I do live in England and that's going to happen, you know. But it's just like, it made me chuckle to myself as I was sort of on my way back from the shops.
Yeah, and I mean, I think everybody's having the various different challenges at the moment, whether it be just being at home, and obviously the spectrum's so broad. And what I found keeps pulling me back into joy is just thinking about people that are less fortunate, sort of thing. I'm very lucky that Adam and I are housemates, and we are both on a certain path. We're always using breath work, we use Reiki, we use a lot of energetic and emotional tools on a daily basis to keep ourselves feeling the joy. And even we've felt ourselves slip in the last sort of week in that. And it can come from just even just watching the news for any more than 10 minutes. You can almost get dragged down into the gloom, because nobody really knows what the outcome is going to be, and that is scary. And rather than just admit, okay, that's scary, and sort of dwell in it's sort of saying, like, it doesn't matter whether you're feeling fear or sort of stress or whatever it is. I know a lot of families out there, it can be really nice to spend a couple of weeks together, and then it can be, you sort of almost dream of a little bit of separation. And families can be really difficult, especially when you're in that lockdown. But it's about using these times to thrive, and really get together and find the joy in every situation. And as I said, something that I've found really helpful is a daily practice, which, I mean, for me, it starts with sort of healing sounds and a grounding and protection, and then I'd go into a meditation, perhaps some chanting beforehand, and I find that really just sets you up for the day. And even if you're sort of not necessarily into the healing sounds, even just a meditation in the morning can do wonders. I know there's been a lot of focus online because a lot of the children were learning meditation at school. I know my niece and nephew were, and they've almost, the parents have noticed since they've been at home and they haven't been doing it, that they have been more restless, and they haven't been sleeping as well at night, and they haven't been as sort of focused during the day. And I found that really interesting, because meditation is just such an amazing tool that we all can use. And that's something in my daily practice that I absolutely swear by. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on in your daily life. Say, for example, everything's at its worst, so you're really anxious about what's going on with the coronavirus, you're really anxious about your finances, you're really anxious about work and your friends and your family and everything else, and you're finding everything overwhelming. Well, just getting out of the mind and into the heart and sinking into the joy and the peace and the
calm,
almost the calm and the silence of meditation. And that, for me, when you hit that point, that for me is everything. That means everything, because that's how you feel. And actually, that's when you realize, if you can have that state within meditation, you can bring it into your daily life. And it's just about using tools to get you back to that place of peace and truth. because ultimately we're all in this together. Now, I'm human. I have the same fears, certain fears up around certain things at the moment, as everybody else does. However, I choose to feel them at the in the moment, feel the emotion, and then it is an emotion, an energy in motion. It's flowing, so I'm not suppressing it, and I'm getting back to joy quicker. So it's kind of like there's always someone else out there that's more unfortunate, and that's one thing I tell myself. It's kind of like, whatever the fear is, whatever's going on right here, right now, someone else has got it off worse right here, right now. And that's when I sort of go, right, okay, let's do what we can. You make sensible decisions and come up with a plan, but then you don't get stuck in it, because that's just that's choosing to stay in the fear, and that's choosing to stay in the mire. We can deal with an emotional situation in the moment within a few minutes, and then choose to get back to the joy. So that's where I sort of, my reference to how life can be is meditation. When you hit that peace, and you go, wow, that is incredible, and nothing else matters, and you just wish you could stay there forever, in that state, because it's such a beautiful state. And you realise that we're only choosing to stay out of that state because we're conscious, or we're not in meditation.
It's something that I sort of really got the realisation around the other day, just having that safe space to go within. It's essential, especially at these times.
Yeah.
So yeah, we shall continue with this very shortly.
Yeah, we'll see you after the break.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs, and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So, yeah, just before the break, we were just sort of starting to talk about getting back to joy in the situation that we're at, or the situation we're in. Everything at the moment is up in the air and kind of the unknown in it, and that can be scary, but actually it's learning to use some of the tools that Adam and I use in our daily lives. We thought we'd share them and just share some of the things that you can use, and perhaps some of the a little exercise you can use to start digging into as well. Because very much when I was doing some research around, or into reflection really, around getting back to joy, there were certain things that have been paramount in my life that have really helped me hook into that joy and really stick with it and bring it into my daily life. And as I said in the first part of the show, meditation is one of them. And it was when I hit that true feeling of peace and joy and just quiet, it was like, wow, that's our natural state. That's how we should, that should be our default setting. And when I realised that, I thought, my God, well, what is it stopping us from being in that place 100% of the time? And a lot of it is our emotional state from minute to minute. And unless you've got a real effective tool, or you've done a huge amount of energetic and emotional work, for me, I used Breath for Life breath work. But unless you've cleared yourself out, it can be really difficult to get back to that joy in your daily life. And it's something that I've sort of managed to do. And don't get me wrong, I'm sort of not saying I've dealt with all my stuff, because otherwise I'd be self-enlightened if I had. But I'm certainly on a mission to. But I found it's got to a point where I know I've said on the radio before, my life went from sort of, why is this happening to me? Why is everything going wrong? And this, that, and the other, to, I can't believe my life's so amazing. And it just keeps on getting better and better. So the sort of the second thing that came up for me was, not only did I get a realization in meditation around our natural state, but it was sort of using the tool of, or not the tool of, but doing inter-reflection and doing some work with inner child. And for those of you that are aware around inner child, we all have, and for those of you that aren't, we all have certain sides to our personality, for want of a better expression. And one of them is the inner child. And it's one part of us that a lot of us not necessarily ignore, and I wouldn't sort of say divorce, but we quash them slightly. So that dreamy sort of imagination, running wild, sort of skipping child that's always happy. I mean, you take the average 3-year-old and just look at their behaviour. They'll be running around, look at things like everything's exciting. They want to know how things work, and they're just literally buzzing. And most parents can't handle that, because it's like, it's too much. But actually, that's how, I'm not saying that's how we should all be running around looking at everything, but we lose that element of excitement and imagination, and we grow up, and
freedom, isn't it?
Well, we get a little bit sensible, don't we?
Yeah.
And we sort of put, oh, well, I can't do that because, oh, well, I'm a big butch man, and, or I can't skip through a meadow, or I can't do this, that, and the other. And I guess, again, when I was reflecting on things, my niece and nephew really served me with this one. Because the first time I took my nephew to soft play, I hadn't quite got my shoes off, and he said, "You coming in, Uncle Matt?" And before he'd even asked me, I knew the answer was yes. And literally by the end of it, he was looking at me like I was some kind of lunatic, because I was jumping around on the monkey bars, I was swinging around, like I was there with him 100%. And I've got to be real honest, I felt 5 years old. Like, I may have been in an adult body, but in that moment, I could have been 5 years old. And that made me realise that actually there were some people there that were laughing and finding it funny and thinking it was great. And there were other people that were sitting there thinking, well, that guy's a lunatic. But there was some parents were in there. There's two types of parents in some ways. There were some sitting on the side on their phones, and there were the others that were running around just like me. And it was great to see, and it was realising that actually we tell ourselves we can't do that because we think it's childish. But actually there's a huge difference between something that's childish and childlike. And childlike can be fun and imaginative and a little bit silly and sort of that crazy fun. Whereas childish is doing things that are silly for the sake of being silly, or taking it one step too far, or you all know the thing that I'm talking about. So it's very much, for me, it was getting back in touch with that inner child, and whether it's doing art or whatever it is, it's bringing that part of you back and bringing that imagination in and allowing it to go absolutely wild. And sorry, go on, Adam.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, it's like, as you're talking and sort of talking about sort of your niece and nephew and that, I don't think you can sort of discuss the topic of sort of joy and excitement and fun and all the real good juicy stuff in life without referring it back to kids, because, you know, I mean, I am a firm believer that that's where they're teaching us, because they do have that freedom and that lack of care and all that sort of thing. And it's, you know, especially if you do, you know, I mean, some of the work we've done, like Matthew says, you know, we do get in and we get to learn and get to know these different aspects of ourselves and know the traits of our ego and what our inner child likes and doesn't like. But when you can actually really sort of re-engage with that as an adult, it's brilliant. And then, I mean, I had a great experience of it the other day, and I was talking to a friend about it. And for me, and once again, it's my nephew, and he's a year old now. I can't dance to save my life. I have 2 left feet, and you know, it always used to be a case of unless I had a fair amount of beer inside me, it wouldn't happen. But actually, I've found more and more there is something else that will make me dance, because I'll pick my nephew up and I'll dance around the kitchen with him or the garden and that sort of thing, because it's like, actually, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying, he's laughing and giggling his head off. And it doesn't matter that I'm out of time to the music and I haven't got a clue what I'm doing and I'm practically falling over, because we're both having a whale of a time. And it's just allowing that adult part of self to just be a little bit more quiet, so you can go full out on the trampoline with your kids and, you know, make a bit of an arse of yourself and fall over and dust your knees off and get up and go again. But it's not making it wrong, you know.
Yeah, I know so many adults that sort of just don't get involved, and it's just the judgment on themselves really that stops it, and you can almost see that they want to go for it, but they can't quite allow themselves. But it's like that really. It's living life like it's. I love the reference he's saying about the dancing, because it's kind of like, dance like no one's watching, like sing like no one's listening. Sort of, it's, who cares what anybody else thinks? If you want to sing but you can't sing in tune, who cares? It really doesn't matter. If it's your passion and it makes you feel good, do it. It's like, it's often our own judgments or what we think people might think. It's kind of like, nobody's gonna please everybody. I mean, you could take that from, you look at some of the greatest voices in the charts or in music. You could say that, oh yeah, well, Mariah Carey, I'm just picking a number out of the air here, but if Mariah Carey's sold 50 million albums, well, she's probably got 100 million fans. Well, what about the other 800 million? Oh no, 6,800,000,000. You know, it's like, not everyone's going to think someone that's amazing is that good, So who cares if you're no good? Do you know what I mean? It's that whole just really embrace sort of all sides of self and allow your inner child out. I know sort of a lot of parents at the moment I've seen online, and again, it's some of the inspiring things. They have been really getting involved with the schooling, because any parent that says that their children haven't taught them as much as they feel they've taught their children is probably lying, because my
well, they're not
experience,
paying attention. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're certainly not getting the lessons. They just think they're the teacher. But it's, again, from my niece and nephew, it's kind of it's something they've taught me. Like they've literally taught me so much about how we should be and how suppressed we are as adults. Because my niece and nephew are, honestly, when I have them, they are golden. And I know Adam's been around. They literally
they are brilliant. Yeah,
amazing. And I have 2 rules. And I mean, obviously we have further rules where we're polite. Nobody sort of takes anybody else's sweets or dinner. Like, everybody's respectful of each other, but it's kind of like, as long as they're being respectful and they're safe, like, that's the only rules. There are no rules. As far as, like, I know my nephew has Nerf guns, and when sort of other people were around, it's like you don't buy a kid a soft play gun and then tell them not to shoot people. Me and my brother, bless him, we had a conversation in our 20s where we used to do full-on WWF on each other when we were about probably started at about 8 years old. And so you can't give a child a toy and then tell them not to play with it. So I'd say to Cameron, listen, mate, just so you know, everybody else's rule may be that you cannot use it around them, but I said, you can shoot me anywhere you like at any time. Please do not shoot me in the face. However, if it hits me in the face and it's an accident, I'll totally understand, because accidents happen. Because I remember being that kid that tried to shoot my dad in the knee many times. And I could never understand why it always hit him in the head, because I was always aiming for the knee. So it's like having that real and relaxed attitude, and being, things happen, but you can't quash kids. You can't quash that imagination, because as adults we've had it quashed. Years and years of sort of things not sort of working out as we like, and it's like our dreams still become a realization. It just takes a little bit longer, but what often makes it take longer is the suppressions of the evidence that things doesn't go my way all the time, and this, that and the other. And it's realizing that actually you can flip that around, and when as a child you had that naturally, that life's good. I mean, if you think about a lot of children at the moment, the reason they're able to stay positive and be all right around this is because they just don't have the awareness of around sort of money, really. That's one of the factors I was sort of looking at, and it's like we all worry about money, and actually money is not a currency we really need to worry about. It's something we need, but it is just a currency. It is just energy. And if you're in tune with the universe, you will be looked after. There doesn't have to be scarcity. And so, again, everyone has that financial concern at the moment, but it's saying, but everybody's in it together. So if Peter can't pay Paul can't expect somebody else to pay. So it's like we've all got to take a little bit of a hit here. But it is what it is. I'm not going to allow some of these fears to affect my life. So some of the techniques that Adam and I use on a daily basis that you can use with partners, families, friends, it really doesn't matter. Even if you've got like a WhatsApp group or a work group, and it's called checking in. And checking in can just be owning how you feel at any given moment. So when I woke up this morning, I was probably slightly mad that I forgot to close the curtains because I was up slightly earlier than I'd planned to be. I was slightly sad because I could hear people outside arguing, and it was kind of like, wow, it's 6:30 in the morning and you're arguing with each other. Really? God. And so for me, it was, I was a little bit sort of mad and a little bit sad this morning, but it was sort of owning it, and it's going, I'm a little bit mad because of that, I'm a little bit sad because of that, and it's kind of like, oh right, what else? Oh well, now I've owned that, actually I'm good, ready for a coffee and ready to crack on. And it's something Adam and I use, and we were chatting earlier and we were sort of saying, I think a lot of the time it can be real easy. So for example, the other morning I had a situation come up, and it was kind of like, Adam said, oh, how you doing, mate? And I said, oh, actually a bit rubbish. I've had this situation come up and I don't know what to do. And it's like, well, is it something I can help you with, or is there something you need to hear? What is it? And it's kind of like, well, actually you could help me with this in this way. And it's like, oh well, dealt with. But sometimes it could just be, well, don't necessarily need some help, but just tell me everything's going to be all right, sort of thing. It's like, all right, mate. It's like, well, whatever's going on, you know it'll be all right in the end, sort of thing. It's like, cheers, buddy. And so even just owning how you feel in the morning with someone that you know, it just helps you sort of park it almost. And if we found it came up again later on, breath work is something that we use on a daily basis to shift emotion. So if we needed to use it in that moment, it would just be a case of use the breath for life breath just for a few minutes and get through that initial emotion. And so, like I said, just the checking in is really good. Sorry, Adam, go on.
It's for me, like, obviously, especially sort of living with you and sort of being on the other side of that, I'd say it's probably the best advice that I could give to anybody in a living situation at the moment, whether that you're living with a landlord or your partner or a brother or a friend, family. It doesn't really matter, but it's really important to keep it clear and keep yourself clear and own your stuff, because it is very much like you say, and a lot of the time, obviously, where me and Matthew have done a lot of work, and we've also done a lot of work together, it's almost just like we're just having a normal conversation. But it's like, all right, how you doing? Oh yeah, well, I've had this going on, I've been up at 6 and and my sleep's a bit funny. And it's like, the things that are stopping you from joy and being happy and getting on with life and, making the best of a bad situation can be real easily solved, I think when you're on your own, obviously there's different aspects to consider because you haven't got that, so you do feel slightly more isolated. But if you're with people, it really is just open up a little bit more and have those conversations. And like you say, if you find yourself in a position where you don't know how to help someone, just ask them, because it's like 99% of the time we know what we need better than most other people, But it's just like, okay, so how can I help you, mate? What do you need right here, right now? To be honest, mate, I just need you to hear this and acknowledge it. Okay, fair enough, I hear you. And that can change someone's day from being, oh, it's all crap and I've got no money and and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other and I'm never going to get out of this lockdown and I'm never going to keep my house and And all that stuff can just go in a real simple, real quick, this is the emotion, I feel mad, sad, glad or scared, and this is the stories, bang, done, right. So now let's have a productive day, because you don't need to sit in it, it's like, work a way out.
It is a choice. So great, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll look forward to the third part of the show. See you after the break.
a conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome back everybody. So we were talking a little bit around inner child and getting back to that inner child for the adults out there and really embracing it. And again, it was a little bit of reflecting on what am I going to do in the show, but also some of the examples I'd been shown as well online through social media around parents that are really, really embracing this time and enjoying the time with their children and really making the most of it. Often, what a lot of people say is we don't have enough time. I'm working so much that I'm not at home with the children as much as I'd like to be. And then you hear them moaning that actually it's been 3 weeks now and I could really do with getting back to work. And you think, well, come on. Like, we need to engage more. You should be a lot more excited than that. And again, it's not to do with the children that they've had enough of their children or anything like that, but it's just the stress that goes with it. It's like they're ready to get back to work to earn money. It is really what it comes down to, because that's what's really stressing them out. It's not the children. And if you can bypass the hurry worry and realise and get past it, it's like it doesn't matter what happens. Like, we will be looked after here. There's help for everybody, and I found one thing that's really good to do if you're finding overwhelmed with a lot of the mind stuff, the mind chatter at the moment. Is journaling. Like we were saying with checking in emotionally, almost do a check-in with your mind and just allow your mind to just run and just write down all your thoughts, your fears, what's going on. And again, that's a real good way of getting the mind to sort of quietened down because it just wants to be heard. And once it's known it's known it's heard, it doesn't need to repeat itself again and again and again. And often that's what keeps people in the sludge feeling. Yeah, in the loop. Great. Because as Adam was saying earlier, if we didn't own something in the morning, you hear a lot of people say they'll have the same conversation 15 times in one day, and that'll be, oh, how are you doing today, Matthew? Oh, well, I'm a bit mad because, well, I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock and, well, yeah, then I heard someone arguing, so that made me feel quite sad because, well, I thought it's too early to be arguing. And then 2 hours later, you're having the same conversation with somebody different. And then 2 hours later with somebody different, and you think, are you still playing that same old record? That you're still angry and sad because of something that happened when you first woke up? Like, really? Like, come on. So that's where some of these things can make a huge difference, because something I used to do all the time and wasn't even aware of it. And it is that sort of ever-diminishing circle where you can wake up in a bad mood and your day progressively gets worse because you hadn't dealt with your bad mood in the morning. So journaling can be a real good way of just getting what's in your head out on paper, so it's not running around and around and around. A lot of people struggle in these times with procrastination. So it's sort of worrying and talking about it and making it some big thing. And my way of looking at something universally is if there's a task to be done or a situation needs a solution, it's like do everything that you possibly can to help that situation. So whether you need to contact certain people to apply for certain credits or whatever it is at the moment, or you need to speak to future customer, like whatever it is you have a problem with at the moment, it's like do the best you can, do everything you can, and then you have to let go of the fear and anything around it. So I know a lot of people out there at the moment are worrying about how are their companies going to look after this, and how employees, is their business still going to be in demand, all that sort of thing. And it's kind of like, that's where we've kind of got to let go. It seems to be bigger than it actually is. Like, the world hasn't stopped. We haven't come to an end here. We haven't suddenly got to reconfigure everything. We've certainly got to look at our behaviours and look at what we're doing to the planet and how we're treating each other, and learn to do that a lot better, because that's the lesson here really, is to get back to humanity rather than the way we're living at the moment. And we're seeing it with these inspirational people and the stuff that's going on, but it's choosing to see that rather than the negative. So do all you can, put all the action in that you can. There's no point sitting there on the sofa saying, oh, I'm not going to get anything, I'm not going to get any help, so I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. It's like, do whatever you need to do. If you've got an online business or you haven't got an online business, it's like, look at other ways of doing business, looking at other ways that you can take action in whatever way it is. If you're feeling lonely, it's like, I think I said in the last show, it's like, reach out to more people, join some communities, take the effort. Don't sit there and complain because you're lonely if you're not making the effort to engage with people. And that was a behaviour I did throughout some of my depression, was I would pull away from people and then say that nobody loved me because they didn't make enough of an effort, but then who wasn't making the effort? Because even when people do, you don't allow it. So allow yourself that, reach out, get it in any way that you need to, but take the action and then really just let go of it and give it up to the universe. Do what you can, but then don't worry about it. There is no point worrying here. There is no point staying in the mire. Worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So I would prefer to be praying for the best possible outcome for everybody, and staying positive, because in any given situation, some will fall, some will fly. However, it is the same in any situation in life. And I can't help looking at the statistics and thinking, well, it could have been a lot worse. So, but yeah, so the journaling, the checking in, getting in touch with people, checking in with different friends. You can set up WhatsApp groups and do that. But some of the really small, or what seem like small things to Adam and I, that actually can make a huge difference in your daily life. So is there anything else you'd like to add around the mind, Adam? So sort of clearing the monkey mind, because other than journaling, I know there's a few
Yeah, I
things
mean,
we use.
it is. There are lots of things. To be honest, the one thing that really sort of sprung to mind to me that I sort of wanted to make a point of saying was especially for maybe some of the new people that have sort of heard us talk about meditation and that sort of thing, and about achieving a quiet mind. And I know this has been said sort of before, but just to reiterate that it's if you try meditation and you've got, I don't know, Roald Dahl upstairs and you've got 1,000,001 stories running around your head, it's like, don't fight them, don't try and block them out, don't try and control them, just sort of just let them run. And I mean, don't sort of get caught up in them and don't give them any attention, but just let them go, because it's like you spend so long almost fighting it that actually you're sort of missing the point of trying to relax and calm the mind in meditation. So just kind of let it do what it wants. I mean, for me, something I found right at the start when I first started to meditate was I used to sort of focus on my breath. So there'd be all this noise going on in my mind that I couldn't really hear, because all I could hear sort of in my head was where I'm just breathing in and out and using that to take my focus. And obviously the more you do it, the less you'll need to do things like that, and then you'll really start hitting that place of peace and quiet, and you'll sort of really start to get the understanding around it. Because I'm sure you can say the same, Matthew, that initially when I first started hearing about meditation talked in this sort of way of hitting that peace and that quiet and connecting with the divine, it was like, well, I tried and I'd never really got a glimpse of it or knew what it sort of felt like and that sort of thing. But the more I'd done it and the more experiences I had and the more that I'm able to drop into that peace, and it's invaluable to have that, and it does come back to, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world outside, if you can find that place within inside you that is that peace and that calm and that just stillness or tranquility, or however it feels for sort of each individual, then it really doesn't matter. Because yes, that we've all got stuff to do and stuff to sort out and that sort of thing, and it's finding the best way to navigate it. There's no right or wrong, there just is. But
it's like heaven is a place inside all of us.
We choose to live in hell.
For me, I mean, Pennie taught me meditation, and Pennie would talk about the connection, and I'd be experiencing the monkey mind and sort of not understanding what Pennie meant. And gradually, the more and more I practiced, boy oh boy, when it hit, it's truly magical. And I think it's really important to, I said it in previous shows, it's like anybody can meditate. There are no conspiracies around water calcifying your third eye, so we can't use it. That is absolute rubbish. Imagine your third, if you've never meditated before, imagine your third eye as your arm. Would you expect to be able to pick something up for the first time you tried? No. So don't expect to hit the peace and the joy that people talk about straight away. Understand, listen to what Adam said, you'll get the monkey mind. Just what I used to help me keep the monkey mind quieter was I just used to chant. So we did a little bit of chanting first just to keep the mind busy, and we did some energization for the body, but you could just do some stretches. But for me it was come to me, be with me, I love you. Come to me, be with me, I love you. And I just used to repeat that because it was better than the mind going, this is rubbish, don't know what it is. So really enjoyed doing the show this evening. I hope we've inspired you to get back to the joy and find the joy in these interesting times. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next show next week.
Yeah, stay safe and have fun, everybody. Take care.